Hello, collective. Welcome and welcome back. You guys, we're going to get into another reading to see what you need to know when it comes to love. And this could be platonic or romantic. Okay. But today, we are going to look at the person or people who you could be dealing with when it comes to shadows. All right, and I don't know what's going to come out, but we're going to see what comes out. We're going to look at their shadows. We're going to see when it comes up, the cause of the shadow, how they see their shadow, how they're dealing with their shadow, how it affects your connection, and what's hidden, the possible outcome, and advice. So if you guys want to stick around, y'all be sure to like and subscribe to continue to catch the vibe. This is not a reading that's meant to chastise anyone for whatever they're dealing with. It is just intended to possibly help you understand your situation with this person a little bit more clearly, and ultimately to help you understand them a little bit more clearly. And that could also help you understand yourself a little bit more clearly as well. So it's good to have these reflections. If you want to stick around and see what the messages are or what messages may be in this reading for you, y'all be sure to do so, okay? Anything that you need to know is linked in the description box below, okay? No one is forcing you to watch the reading, but if you do choose to watch the reading, please be respectful, you guys, and be objective. Don't bring anything into your life that does not belong, okay? We're going to go ahead and see what the answers to these questions are. Okay, guardian angels, archangels, spirit guides, and ancestors of the highest vibration, Father, Mother, God. Ooh, when it comes to the collective love, okay, it says cut down, cutting out, separation, stop the pattern, and silent treatment. We also have the coffin card and the separation card. The prickly pear, a prickly cactus. Separation, sadness, bitterness, missing you, thinking about you, uncertain of the future, and coffin, new beginnings, liberation, reborn and transition, tragic endings. So yeah, there could definitely be a tragic ending going on between you and someone else that has created a separation. Healing heart, yeah, you could be trying to heal. They could be trying to heal. Take it how it resonates, but let's see. Spirit, please show us what we need to see when it comes to love and relationships, platonic or romantic, that the collective is dealing with, and the shadows. Okay, so what is their shadow? Ooh, twin flame. That's interesting. So it's like yin and yang. Okay, so it says yin and yang, balance, union and duality, complement, polar opposites. So their shadow may be the polar opposite of your shadow, okay? Their struggles, trials, tribulations may be similar to you, but it may materialize in a different way or in an opposite way. Usually, when we talk about twin flames, which I really don't talk about twin flame because I feel like it's become distorted. However, I digress. When you talk about twin flame connections, it's you mirroring another person back to them and them mirroring yourself back to you. It's just like showing you the reverse side or the opposite side of like the situation, right? Usually when you have a twin flame relationship, they probably irk your nerves. They probably get on your last nerves and they dance on that sucker until you can't take it. Okay, but it's to show you the darkness within yourself, and it's for you to show them the darkness within themselves, but also the light within you and the light within them. And that's what people don't understand. They romanticize it and they make it seem like it's a situation that's just gonna be airy fairy. You know, you about to have some fanny flutters and your cootie cat gonna be jumping, and you know, your thing in between your legs gonna be jumping all around, but that's not what it is in reality. Wow. Isn't that crazy? It's like this person's shadow is your shadow. Mm-mm. When does it come up? Ascending. It comes up when there's growth. It says learning, expansion, transcending, preparing for union, new phase. So whenever there's a new opportunity, whenever there's some type of ascension, whenever there's forward progress, whenever there's a lesson to be learned and expansion to be gained, this is when this person's shadow comes up. Wow. The cause of the shadow, not enough. So a feeling of lack or a feeling of inadequacy, lacking confidence, self-sabotage, ego and fear, and frustration. It's like self-sabotage or imposter syndrome. That's when it comes up, when a person feels like they're an imposter or they feel like they're unworthy or undeserving of whatever ascension is taking place. Okay. This could also be a shadow that flares up within someone when you're ascending because they feel inadequate they feel inadequate in relation to your progression. And I feel like this happens vice versa as well. It's like just because you're growing or just because you're ascending, just because you're progressing and having positive things happen in your life doesn't mean this person can't have the same thing. But it's very important and crucial for you guys to understand that because that twin flame card came out, this is mirrored. And it could be a situation where you as well may feel inadequate or you feel fear or lack mentality when this person advances or when they make some type of progress moving forward. Oh, shit. These readings. Okay, so how they see their shadow. Wow, girl with a snake. Charmed or used, enable boundaries. They see themselves in a victim mentality. They see themselves as very vulnerable when this shadow comes up. This is a person who sees themselves in you, and you may see parts of yourself in them, but it makes them feel weak to see the parts of themselves that resemble you. It makes them feel weak to relate to you in certain ways. And that can be offensive, but I feel like it's for a reason. How they're dealing with their shadow? Partying. Wow. Time with friends, having fun, happily single, living in the moment. Trying to avoid it, pretty much. Trying to cope with it. How it affects your connection. Addiction, codependent, obsession, restraint, possession, and control, emotional block. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. What's hidden? Abundance, positive mindset, manifest, gratitude and bliss and blessings. Dang. Dang, 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 dang. The possible outcome clock, needing time. Cycles, takes time, time to heal, progressing. Yeah. This is like sad. This is about someone who has a knowledge and an awareness of their connection to you and how you guys relate to each other. They have a knowledge and a connection of the bond that you share. They have a knowledge and an awareness of how you are kind of drawn together, but they fight it because everything that you mirror back to them shows them or highlights to them the inadequacies that they feel within themselves. And instead of growing to rise to the occasion or growing to overcome the obstacle, they choose to run from it. And the advice, sunglasses, watching, looking, perception, stalking. We'll see why that's the advice. But I feel like what Spirit is saying is to face this and not avoid it, because that's what's going to end up bringing some type of relief or clarity or resolution to the situation. Yeah, and at the bottom we have picture. It says looking at pictures, missing you, nostalgia, making new memories. So it's like the more this person tries to escape their perception of you and their experience in this situation with you, the more it brings them back to like reliving it. Ooh, and then the mirror card. Mirroring each other, self-reflection, introspection, inner wounds. All right. Very, very interesting. Let's dig into it, you guys. Let's try to get this video to 100 likes. If you guys hear my voice and you can see the cards or hear what I'm saying, help your girl out, y'all. Be sure to like and subscribe, because we over here catching a vibe, and I want to continue to catch that vibe with you guys so that we can have growth and make progress, okay? So let's see. For this twin flames. Dang. Why is this twin flame card here for this person's shadow? The Emperor. There's someone who likes to be in control. And I feel like the way that you make this person feel and how you mirror their own reflection back to them makes them feel out of control. Like they've lost control. 5 of Cups, Page of Cups. They regret the past. They have sadness about what hasn't worked out in their life, either with you or just in general. It's hard for them to move forward from the things that they feel were supposed to happen for them, or the things that they feel were meant to happen for them that didn't. This is somebody who really likes to have control over their emotions. And I feel like your ability, possibly, depending on who you are, but your ability to be more free with your emotions and to be more, I don't want to say innocent, but like, you know how kids just say how they feel? Kids just experience things and experience emotions and they have no filter. It's like this person's shadow is them not wanting to feel that way, but also kind of being envious of people who are able to do that. It kind of feels like that type of vibe. Like there's something in this person's childhood that creates sadness, pain, regret, sorrow. Something that happened when they were a child, especially connected to the masculine energy, like a father or a grandfather. This could be the passing or death of a father or grandfather. This could be the control and the possible abuse of a father or grandfather, someone who shattered their dreams, shit on their goals, someone who didn't let them really experience childhood the way that a child should. Or possibly even being abandoned by a father figure, not knowing who their father was, not having a good relationship with their father. What else is this Emperor with the twin flame for their shadow? Why is this here for their shadow? Empress, get the heck out of here. This could be a divorce that they experienced as well. This is a situation, it's like this person's shadow is connected to a childhood experience that they felt they had to control their emotions. Knight of Cups and the Fool card. It could be either or. I'm not sure which parent they had an issue with or which parent created the trauma or whether it was a situation with both parents. But that's what it looks like. It feels like the masculine and feminine energy was imbalanced, and it created a lack of one of those energies when it comes to their upbringing. It feels like there was more of a free-flowing emotional balance with the feminine energy, and there was more so like this seriousness with the masculine energy. And I'm not sure exactly why, but whoever this person is, it's like you You bring this up for them. You remind them of this. Their shadow comes from these experiences. And the fact that there's an imbalance with the masculine and feminine energies, like feeling inspired, feeling free. There's a contradiction. When does this shadow come up? The ascending card. Why is this ascending card here for when this shadow comes up? Two of Cups reverse. I feel like this person, when they don't feel as smart or emotionally prepared for certain things, they regress, they recluse, they kind of collide or collapse in on themselves. When they feel like they're not protected in a conversation, or they're not protected in a friendship, or they're not protected in a union, they collapse in on themselves. When they have new experiences or things feel very new, like that Page of Cups energy, that makes them uncomfortable. Like when things begin to expand, when they start to see new perspectives, when things are moving forward and there's some type of progression, they start to collapse in on themselves because it brings them back to that Five of Cups energy that they experienced in childhood. Some type of loss or sadness or pain took this person's innocence at a very young age. I feel like they were not protected by the people who were supposed to protect them. And it causes this implosion when they feel vulnerable. Page of Wands and the Chariot. They run from criticism. They run from things that are meant to help them grow and expand. They run from these new experiences, which ultimately we know when you have a new experience, you're ultimately going to learn something new. So when they get some type of confirmation or message or communication that appears negative or appears like a criticism, whether it's constructive or not, they run. Because that's ultimately, I feel, what makes them comfortable. Or if something comes up that triggers this person, they don't want to talk about it. What is this Two of Cups with the ascending card? Ace of Cups. It's the feelings. They don't know how to deal with the feelings. It came out sideways. They really don't know how to deal with the emotions. And they don't really talk about it, but they know what it feels like, and it makes them uncomfortable. Four of Wands and the Queen of Cups. Yeah. It kind of feels like it kind of feels like when this person is faced with the dilemma of whether or not they stay where they are or they progress forward, it's like I'm getting like these tears that well up in this person's eyes. Like they can feel it and they automatically have this like switch where they turn it off. This is loving feminine relationships. This is like living with a woman, being in a relationship with a woman, being married and committed to a woman, having like a stable connection with the feminine energy. I don't know if this is someone who was raised by majority of men or their father, or there was like some type of imbalanced feminine energy who raised them, like a mother who was really like toxic. But it feels like there was an imbalance of masculine and feminine energy, and therefore this shadow kind of like rears its ugly head when there's a balanced feminine energy around that makes this person not only happy but also sad, because there's this contradiction in their mind. Like if they had a fucked up mom and you're a balanced feminine energy coming into this person's life, your kindness and your emotional control and your maturity when it comes to the feminine energy could contradict with their belief of what the feminine is, because of that early childhood development that contradicts the reality. I'm not a lawyer, doctor, or psychologist, but that's what it feels like to me. And I feel like there's some type of betrayal there, where either the masculine manipulated the mind at a young age to have that visceral reaction, or the feminine's actions at that young age were indicative in the young mind of this person to say that every woman is going to be this way. Because I feel like there was some point in this person's development, either early childhood or adolescence, that caused them to lose trust for the feminine energy, whether it was manipulation or it was based on circumstance. And it's like their natural reaction and response is to feel this Ace of Cups upright, but then it contradicts with the development of the brain in those early stages that makes them hesitate and like step back. The cause of the shadow is this feeling of not enough. Why is this the cause of the shadow? Ooh. The King of Cups damn near came out sideways as well. This feels like someone who was raised by a father who was emotionally distant, very calculated emotionally, someone who didn't really express their emotions, someone who was always like trying to keep a straight face or a composed demeanor when it comes to their emotions. Someone who could have also been very charismatic in a way, and who knew how to control their emotions in order to elicit a specific reaction out of people around them. 3 of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. This is also signs, synchronicities, and confirmations throughout this person's life that told them that they were expected to react and respond a certain way. I feel like I'm talking about a man, but I also feel like this could be a reflection of how the feminine energy feels towards masculinity, just like it's a reflection of how the masculine energy feels towards femininity. So in the feminine version, it's like kind of what they expected in the 50s, 60s, 50s, from the 40s going to the 60s, for that 20-year period. It's like what they expected women to be like, what they expected men to be like, how they expected children to behave. It feels like that's the cause of the shadow, is the expectation of what a man should be to you, or what type of man you should be in the world, what type of woman you should be in the world, what a woman should be for you. And there were little bits and pieces of tangible evidence that supported that kind of stereotypical belief. What's the King of Cups with the not enough card for the cause of the shadow? Ace of Wands. It keeps falling back on this twin flame. That's crazy. And then for the Emperor and the Empress to come out with the twin flame card, it's like the equal and opposite version of the reality. Ace of Wands with the King of Cups, Queen of Wands, and then the King of Pentacles. The aesthetic belief or benefit of feminine energy, the monetary or tangible belief of masculine energy, what that means. The goal for women is what? To be fit. What is it? Fit, beautiful. I don't know, whatever the words are, but the goal as women, right? You're supposed to be attractive. You're supposed to keep your physicality together. You're supposed to make decisions that make you appear desirable. To the male gaze, whether you agree with those philosophies or not. And as a masculine, you're expected to provide a certain quality of life to the feminine energy, regardless of whether you identify with those characteristics or are able to obtain those characteristics within your respective communities. I just heard do as I say, not as I do. Yeah. And I just heard that song. Was that Rihanna song? Big girls don't cry. Yeah, it's like men don't cry. All this type of craziness. Okay, how they see their shadow. Girl with a snake. Why is this card here for how this person sees their shadow? Oh my. If I pick it up this way, it's going to be upright. Oh, no. Yes, it is. If I pick it up the other way, it's going to be reversed. So let's look at it. Queen of Pentacles at the bottom. We have the Death card, Two of Swords, Hangman. Yeah, it kind of feels like this person sees their shadow as like it's kind of like they see themselves as a victim. It's like they don't want to see a different perspective. They don't want to see change or transformation. They don't want to believe that there's a possibility for change or transformation. It's like the same way if it's reversed. It's like somebody who doesn't see that things can change or doesn't want to admit that things need to change because they can only see one perspective. It's like the way that they see their shadow is as if they're stuck in this and this is always how it's going to be. Whether it's the way that they see themselves, the way that they feel like other people see them, or whether it's the way that like society views them. Queen of Pentacles at the bottom and the Eight of Wands. I feel like this person feels like there are better things to focus on, or that it's not important to like waste time focusing on the things that they consider to be shadows or the things that they exhibit as far as shadows. Because I don't think this person even sees that anything needs to change because they can't see things from a different perspective. But I feel like that's purposeful with the Two of Swords. It's like this person feels like there's no point to hoping for change or praying for change or focusing on change, because it's going to remain the same. Like if this person has a distorted view of the feminine energy because they either lost their mother at a young age, went through divorce and saw their mother and father from a different light, or had a toxic mother, they're always going to, it's like they feel like there's no point in changing the way that they see life because women are always going to be like that. But in the same breath, it's the same way for you if you are that feminine energy that this person is focusing on. Because again, you're mirroring them when it comes to the aspects and dynamics of this reading, because you adversely feel that there's no point in having hope in men because they're never going to change. Listen, you can get mad at me if you want to. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you what you need to hear in order to bring the love into your life that you obviously are searching for. So, I don't know. I be getting defensive. I just feel like folks, they be hearing me, but they don't be hearing me. Okay? Y'all be listening, but you don't be listening. So, I'm going to try to move on. But that's kind of what it feels like. It's like the only way to make progress is just push forward. Like ignore everything that you feel. Focus on priorities. Don't get distracted by things that are frivolous or short-lived. Just continue to move forward. I feel like, honestly, whoever this person is like deciding to see themselves as a victim. But I think the reason why Spirit wants me to show and highlight their shadows is because they want you to see the fault. Ooh, and the thunder. And I just heard fault line in my head. So fault lines are where possible earthquakes and shifts in the tectonic plates can take place, if I'm not mistaken. But they want you to see the fault in this person's perspective so that you can understand the faults that you may have in your own perspective that could be inverted, but that's also as potent. So how do they cope with this, or how are they basically dealing with this shadow? Is about avoidance. It's partying. It's trying to get away from it. Why is this partying here for how they deal with it? The Five of Cups, because they're trying to wash the sadness away. Some of you, this person may be a little bit of an alcoholic. They may try to drink away their problems. Drown their problems, drown their sorrows, Page of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, because the way that they think about this situation with the Page of Swords, it's like whatever evidence that they've acquired over their time observing the outside world, it's like their beliefs are being confirmed. Their suspicions are being confirmed. They feel like whatever information that they've gathered only reinforces their prejudice in the situation. But that's just like the algorithm. It's like people talk about how the algorithm will only show you more of what you're already interested in. But that's the same. It's so crazy how technology is mirroring our natural reality. And I think that those dynamics are kind of like lost on people sometimes. And we complain about the algorithm and we complain about how toxic it is. But you literally have to curate your algorithm. You have to curate content on all of these social media platforms and all of these like streaming platforms to what it is that you actually want to see, not to the projections of prejudice that you have been fed. And whether it's a technological algorithm or whether it's a more spiritual algorithm, the occurrences in your life, if you walk through life and you say, I'm such an unlucky bastard, I can never get things right. I can never figure it out. I'm always a failure. Nothing ever works for me. You're going to have reinforcing energetic experiences through the occurrences of your life that reinforce this negative perspective. So it's like you get stuck in this constant natural algorithm of bullshit because you continuously perpetuate that perspective. And that is the Page of Swords, because ultimately it's knowing the truth, but knowing it from a very immature, slanted lens, from a broken mirror. Which ultimately makes this person hesitate to make investments in things that would actually benefit their life. And it's actually quite sad. What else is this Five of Cups with the partying card? Six of Wands. Yeah, it's like they basically try to cope with the things that they feel like are losses in their life, or the things that they feel like didn't work in their life, by avoiding focusing on the issue. Three of Wands and the Queen of Wands. Interesting. Expectations. Progress. It's like they watch you from afar if you're a feminine energy, or it's like if you're a masculine energy, they're still watching you from afar and expecting for something to change, when it's like they're not really taking any action to either change the situation or change themselves. It doesn't matter what gender or how you identify. It's like somebody who's constantly trying to find information, but not realizing that their prejudices are leading them towards the answer that reinforces the negativity. Interesting. So how this affects your connection is the addictions. Why is the addictions card here for how this affects the connection with the collective? Definitely reversed. Judgment reversed. Six of Cups reversed. Ugh. There's negative memories. There's nightmares. There's a feeling of not being protected. A feeling of not being blessed. A feeling of being cursed in a way. Nine of Cups and the Four of Pentacles. The more this person drinks, smokes, copes, the more they leave themselves vulnerable to like bad decisions, poor discernment, which we know ultimately leads you back to the whole situation where you keep reinforcing it, right? Like if you constantly feel like nothing will ever change, or you constantly feel like you'll always get rejected in life, then you're going to constantly subconsciously take action and make poor decisions that reinforce that reality as the rain pours down. And all my kitties are so cutely sleeping. Snowflake, you see the rain? Is it coming down? Yes. Is that why you're so sleepy today? Yes. Oh, and I see a stretchy gill. And I see that Percy. It's like a loop of death. It definitely is. It leaves the both of you vulnerable for hard lessons that could be avoided if better decisions were made, or if the perspective was more clear. Because somehow you're connected to this person. Nine of Cups is basically saying, well, I already know what's going to happen, so I might as well not care. I already know what's going to happen when I go and try to apply for this job, so I might as well just not apply. I already know what's going to happen when I go approach this person, so I might as well just not approach them. Or I already know what's going to happen, so even if I go into the job and apply, or even if I go up to this person and approach them, I'm not putting my best foot forward because fuck it. It's all a failure anyway. And a lot of you guys may be like, that sounds crazy, but baby, more people than you think feel that way. Because when I did that poll on NutCase Network and I talked about like what was more important, being right or having peace, there was an option that I added, and you can go check, but there was an option that I added where it said neither. Connections are pointless and nothing matters anyway. And you would think it would be at 0%, but when I first started, it was at 2%. Now it's at 1% because more people have voted. But what I'm saying is there's a percentage of people who feel like all hope is lost. And more than likely, if you've been through anything that's led you to spirituality and tarot and you're even here, you've experienced something like that at some point in your life. And I think that's what this person is dealing with. It's like a lack of motivation, a lack of hope, a lack of faith. Just lack. If I want something, I've got to do it all by myself. No one's going to help me. Everyone's going to use me. Everyone's going to abuse me. I might as well just give up. And if I don't give up, I have to be extremely defensive every step I take because everyone's an enemy because I'm always a victim. Sound familiar? What's hidden is the abundance. Why is the abundance card here for what's hidden? Page of Swords, Page of Pentacles. Because just like I said, you're only going to see proof, validation, vindication, confirmation of the things that you choose to see. If you choose to see negativity, that's going to be the only thing that you see. That's why the abundance is hidden. Because there's no positive mindset. There's no desire or motivation to manifest something or belief that it's possible. There's no gratitude for the things that are already visible. Because if you can't see it, then that means you're not aware of it, which means that to you it doesn't exist, which shows the universe that it's pointless to you or it's unimportant, which robs you of a feeling of peace and bliss and happiness. And therefore, you're unable to identify your blessings. And the Bitcoin is on there, which is very interesting because that's like a phantom currency, at least in my opinion. You know, honestly, you could say that about the dollar because it's not backed by anything of substance. It's immaterial. What's hidden is the material reinforcement that's necessary to believe a different outcome. But the reason why the material reinforcement is unavailable is because the mental and emotional choice is being made to not see that. So this person, whoever they are, will never be able to see the joy in their life. They'll never be able to see the ways that they're blessed. They'll never be able to understand how much they've been given unless they change that perspective and mindset. Strength and the Three of Pentacles. This person doesn't have the courage to look for something else. They don't have the courage to see it another way. They're restricted by the things that have already been like affirmed and reaffirmed in their life. So they hold back their potential always looking over their shoulder, never looking ahead and always looking back. Sounds like people who watch tarot to me. Oop. Some of y'all wasn't ready to hear that. Sounds like people who get on these comment sections and talk all this shit about how they're growing, but they ain't going no fucking where. And shy away from what really matters. It sounds like the people who are delusional about how much they're moving forward, when in reality, they're just standing still. And it's interesting because when you watch, like, I like to watch old clips of history, old documentaries. I have stumbled upon some really, like, amazing channels that have documented history. And what I find is that the crutch of every current generation, the crutch or the impotence of every generation is the fact that somehow they see themselves as different. We're not different from any of the fuckers who were in the 1800s. We're not different from any of the people who were coming up in the 50s and 60s. We're not different from any of these people. And that is the impetus of human beings, is thinking that because time has passed by that something has changed. When in reality, nothing has changed because we're not realizing how much we've stayed the same. And though the things around us have evolved, we as individuals have chosen to either be stagnant or de-evolve because our perspectives are restricted and we're not able to enlarge ourselves or see ourselves from a higher perspective to understand what's really important. All these years that have gone by and all this shit that's happening, and we still don't understand that the ultimate goal is love and care for each other, for compassion and understanding and empathy. And even though the thousands of people around this world can preach it, they don't put it in practice, which makes us just as fucking ignorant as the people who came before us that we like to see ourselves as above. But let me get off of my fucking soapbox and read the cards, huh? Now, the possible outcome is the clock. I saw an hourglass in Walmart yesterday, and it was the only one on the shelf. And I flipped that bitch over. Couldn't help myself. But it says clock. Why is the clock the possible outcome? Knight of Cups. What can you do with time? If you had unlimited resources and unlimited time on this earth, if you were invincible and immortal, what would you do? What could you create? What would you set out to accomplish? If you had all the time in the world and you never died, what would you do? Eight of Pentacles. What would you build? Would you have fear? Would you be too afraid to go for your goals and pursue your dreams? Somebody's going to figure it out. One of y'all watching are going to figure it out. You're going to start to think, if I put my mind to it and I was consistent with my efforts and my input and my beliefs, what could I accomplish if I put fear behind me? That's a good question. What would you be able to accomplish? Would you be capable of putting fear behind you to finally create some type of change? What's the Knight of Cups with the clock? Six of Swords reversed. Nine of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. I feel like what this is saying is that the possible outcome is going to be drawn out, dragged out, because there's going to be this intimidation, fear, anxiety, stress, trepidation about doing what needs to be done in the moment, because you feel like you either don't have enough time, or there won't be enough time, or that something is blocking you. The longer it takes for you to realize this about yourself, the longer it's going to take you to have what it is that you want when it comes to loving relationships in your life. The longer it takes for you to accept this part of the story and how it mirrors back to you is the longer that it's going to take you to have the courage and the tenacity to step through the door of opportunity and face your life head on. The more you say, oh my God, I'm so tired of trying. It's so hard over and over again. I keep getting slapped down to the ground and I don't want to keep going. The more you succumb to that emotion, the longer you're going to stay in a purgatory of turmoil and chaos. And the further and further away you'll be from peace and from the ultimate outcome that you wish to achieve. And the reason why I'm saying you instead of them is because this is exactly why you connected with this person. Because whether or not they're the one who doesn't know how to handle their emotions, or whether or not they're the person who overly controls their emotions and tries to control people around them by using their emotions, whichever side of the coin they're on, you're on the opposite side. And despite the fact that these things may hold this person back for the reasons that it holds them back, regardless of that, it holds you back on the other side of that coin for the opposite reason. And I think Spirit is quite frankly sick of some of y'all motherfuckers because y'all don't want to see it. Now, the advice is sunglasses. This is about education. We're educating ourselves. Why is the sunglasses card here for the advice as it pours down rain? Do y'all hear it? Yep, you do, because the mic is turned all the way down and I didn't know. Let's see. Why is the sunglasses card here for advice? Ooh. 7 of Pentacles. Because the more time you spend trying to avoid focusing on this, the longer it's going to take you to achieve your goal. Queen of Pentacles and the Chariot. The more you focus on things that haven't worked out, the things that haven't grown, the things that you think are important, the less time that you have to actually be guided towards what you're supposed to have in your life. 5 of Swords. And it's like this, I don't want to say illusion. It kind of feels like an illusion or a delusion, but it's this illusion that it's not consuming or all consuming in your life. It's the delusion or the illusion of progress when no progress is being made. Whether this is a situation where you're stuck on a twin flame journey, or whether this is a situation where you completely want to distance yourself from your so-called twin flame or the twin flame experience, or whether this is a situation where you don't want to see yourself in these experiences with these people. It's a dirty trick. As the rain pours down, it is a dirty trick And it fucks with each of us. Because it makes us think that we're different when we're not. And each of us are special and different in our own way. But we all deal with the same demons. 9 of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. I don't know. It's up to you what you take from the reading, how you interpret it, what you think about it, how you rationalize it. I can't help you do that. Some of these readers out here might say that they can, but ultimately it's about how you walk away from the experience and what you consider to be the truth. What is it called? I know what it's called. Glittering generalities. Clarity for the collective when it comes to this reading, Spirit. You have Taurus energy, Libra energy, Aries, possibly Virgo, Scorpio. Yep. Drinking. Thinking and drinking. Let's meet for drinks to loosen up the mood. Sex. I physically crave you. I fantasize about all the sexual things I want to do to you and left unsaid. Although we never said it to each other, we both knew. This is a person who detaches through these experiences. They basically use drugs, alcohol, addictions, sex to detach from their experiences so they don't have to deal with the emotions of the experience and ultimately leave things on the table because they don't truly express how they feel. Physical affection. Oh, not affection, attraction. I can't read. I love all your curves. You're my definition of perfect. But there's two sides of the coin. Because some of y'all like to go out here and you like to drink, or you like to go out to places where people are possibly inebriated, or you like to deal with people who need nurturing, mothering, support, fathering, and it validates you to be needed. And then you get upset when the person needs you and uses you for what you came seeking validation in. But I'm not sure we're ready to have that conversation. Y'all let me know. At the bottom, coffee shop. Let's keep things casual and enjoy a good conversation. Friendship. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. See? Maybe things just need to be friendly. One more card for clarity. Pick up in reverse. I'll pick you up and be a true gentleman. So somebody's not going to treat you like a lady. Somebody is not going to act like a gentleman. Somebody is not a lady. And somebody is not a gentleman. An option. I'm dating someone else, but I like you too. I can't decide who I want. Netflix and chill. Let's stay in tonight and cuddle up together. The epidemic of the 21st century dating apps and hookup culture. Because people have so many options, they don't carry themselves in the way that's appropriate or necessary for proper emotional connection. And if any substance is applied, not applied, but if any substance is to be gained, it's only after these stipulations are fulfilled. The only reason substance is gained in a situation is if somebody feels a physical attraction, or you're able to indulge in their habits, or you don't challenge their triggers. They can see a friendship with you. They can go on coffee dates with you. But it's only after all of these other things happen, and then, even then, it may not happen. If you check the box of being sexually attractive to them, if you check the box of being equally as debaucherous, if you check the box of not conforming to standards and principles and being loose with your morals, then you might have a chance. Maybe. And I think that's the decision that some of you guys are going to have to make. Because whether a person has treated you in this way or you've experienced this or not, what Spirit is trying to get you to do is examine the things within you and the attitudes and behaviors that you exhibit that perpetuate this, whether you're male or female, or however you identify. What's this drinking, physical attraction, and pickup in reverse? Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Wands. This is a confirmation of worth, a confirmation of value, a confirmation of protection, a sign that someone sees themselves as valuable, a sign that someone sees themselves in a positive light that exhibits self-esteem that's on the higher scale. But this also talks about, again, whether or not someone is worthy of a certain type of treatment. I feel like what this is pointing to is a change that could be taking place when it comes to this type of behavior, when it comes to the gains that someone expects from a connection. So if this is discussing a specific person who you have a connection with, while they are realizing that a person's value does not come from shallow things, so are you. So if you are the feminine, you're realizing that a person's value does not come from surface level things. If you are attracted to masculines or men, you're realizing that the amount of money they have, the way that they dress, the car that they drive, the job that they have, their ability to provide for you in the way that is stereotypically expected is not as important as other things. Just like the masculine is understanding that the sex appeal, the physical attractiveness, the physical features and aesthetics, and other attributes that are connected to the current or most recent feminine attractiveness traits are not the only thing that matters. The world. and the Six of Pentacles. There's a confirmation that you guys are going to receive that a cycle is coming to an end and that sentiments and priorities are shifting when it comes to who receives recognition, who's viewed as valuable, what types of attributes are valuable, and what should be made a priority. Mark my words, honey. And then come back when I'm confirmed to be right and give me my flowers and stop fucking with me. I'm just playing. Kind of. Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Wands. One card. Oop. Well, we got two. The Fool and the Seven of Wands. And we just saw the World. So, and the Devil, bitch. And the Chariot. So, there is some type of carnal behavior, some type of baser instincts that are all of a sudden going to be released. People are going to be released from a devil all of a sudden. Whatever this devil is, child. The snake, it's like, there could be a lot of people becoming abstinent. There could be a lot of people turning away from sexual freedom. There could be a change in general attractiveness when it comes to features, body types. That shadow is being put in the light. And there's a push or a pull that's taking people away from what they've kind of gotten used to for a long time. And there's a forceful push happening in this direction. Okay? And when I say forceful, I mean forceful. People are starting to go back to values that exhibit more of the light side and not the shadow. It's starting to be illuminated. The connection that the feminine and the masculine have are starting to be illuminated. Because the way that people have been carrying themselves and moving in the world based on their traumas and their triggers, the way that people have been coping with the things that have happened to them, and the way that people have remained in this victim mentality, it's like it's becoming too hard to ignore. So what your advice is right now, start to deal with that shit. Because when this devil come to collect in the night and start to fuck people up, you want to be ahead of the curve, bitch. Okay? And the reason I say that is because, for example, like on TikTok, I don't know if y'all have seen, but there's been a lot of videos where people have been confronting folks who deny that they got like their orders on DoorDash or Uber Eats. There are people who can't afford to eat out or can't afford to use those services that then receive their food and say, hey, I didn't get my order, or I didn't get my food, or this was never delivered. It was picked up, but it was never delivered. And because the app or the driver who's using the app clicks confirm and they do everything they have to do, and they try to confirm that it's been delivered, and then the customer says it has not, it creates a discrepancy. Therefore, either the driver is at fault, the company has to take the fault, or the customer has to take the fault. Either way, somebody's going to have to shoulder that burden. And it's resulted in situations where either the customer is penalized and innocent people who don't get their orders can't get a refund, or it creates a situation where the service provider has to increase their prices, which ultimately prevents the driver's ability to get the most bang for their buck out of their service, and it prevents the customer from getting the most bang out of their buck from the service. Or it creates a situation where people start to bring back public fucking shame, and they go and put your face online at your workplace, and you end up getting fired because you're trying to game the system. Either way, somebody's going to have to pay the price. So I use that example to tell you guys that the same thing is happening when it comes to relationships, whether platonic, romantic, or professional. Once too much bullshit takes place and people fuck around and try to finagle and game the system, somebody's going to have to pay the price. And usually it's the people who've been gaming the system for the longest time who end up having to pay the price. And the way that you as an innocent individual, if that's what you are, can again stay ahead of the game is to realize the game that's being played and to realize when the shift takes place. Because eventually it will. Fuckery and bullshit with this Five of Swords ain't really paying off the way it used to. Sugar daddies, sugar mamas, pimping, tricking, scamming. It ain't paying off the way it used to. And people love to talk about sexual freedom and all these different things. And of course, it's a fact that prostitution is one of the oldest business establishments in our existence. But also, when you think about it, it's also one of the most vulnerable and pretty sketchy professions to be involved in. Because over time, as sentiments change, the feelings and sentiments around prostitution changes. And literally, you could be in a position where either you're getting praised for being a slut, okay? Or you could be risking your life for being a slut. And that's why it's best for you as an individual to build a stronghold around your motives and intentions if they are pure, and your morals and ethics if they are pure and cause no harm. You have to build that stronghold, because no matter how pressurized the situation may be, if you stand for something, you can't just get caught up falling for anything. I said what the fuck I said. I'm going to leave it at that. That's it. That's all. Y'all be sure to like and subscribe to continue to catch the vibe. Get in the comments. Book your readings. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.